I used to like Polygon's YouTube channel. I like the videos Justin and Griffin McElroy hosted together. Those always make me laugh. And I like the videos Griffin and Nick Robinson did together. Those two were a very witty and complementary duo. But then, in 2017, Nick was fired amidst nebulous allegations of sexual harassment. 2 months before the Me Too phenomenon kicked off, by the way. And 1 year later, Griffin and Justin left Polygon to focus on their own projects. While Nick's firing already put me off the channel, the brothers' departure put the final nail in the coffin. I haven't watched the channel since then. As you might have guessed already, today I'm going back to the good old days when Nick Robinson and Griffin McElroy were still making videos together. In part 2, I'll review 3 series they did together: Carboys, Touch the Skyrim, and Cool Games Inc. But in part 1, I want to give you my take on Nick's firing. Spoiler alert, I think he probably got screwed over by his boss and by his colleagues. More on that later, but first, a small presentation on Griffin and Nick. Griffin McElroy got his start in video game journalism by working as an editor for the website Joystick. He worked there alongside his brother Justin from 2007 to 2012. In 2012, Griffin and Justin followed Chris Grant, the former editor-in-chief of Joystick and their boss, into a business venture with Vox Media. Yes, that Vox Media. With Vox's funds, they launched a new video game news website they named Polygon. Thus, Griffin and his brother were among the 16 game journalists who founded the website. Justin became managing editor, while Griffin started out as a deputy news editor, before being promoted to senior video producer in January 2014. Griffin ended up producing a lot of content on Polygon's YouTube channel between 2014 and his departure from Polygon in late April 2018. For instance, he's still doing this series I like called Monster Factory, which he hosts with his brother. It's a Let's Play series where they create funny and grotesque characters using the character creation tools found in many video games.
Oh, get back here, you little dribble. Hey, that tickles, bud.
But apart from that series, Griffin doesn't make many Let's Plays anymore. Instead, he works full-time on his numerous podcasts with his brothers and his wife. And he also does a bit of voice acting. Nick Robinson got his start in the video game news industry sometime around 2011 by interning at Giant Bomb. There, he started a podcast called Pod Burglars with fellow interns Ben Pack and Matt Kessler. Sometime later, he began working for the Rev3 Games YouTube channel as a producer and eventually as a host from 2012 until the channel's retirement in 2014. Then, in 2015, he was hired as a video producer for Polygon's YouTube channel. During his stay at the company, he put out a lot of videos, including many in collaboration with Griffin. Nick Robinson and Griffin McElroy seem to have become really good friends during that period, since in 2016 they co-hosted a 40-part Let's Play series called Carboys, and another 15-part Let's Play called Touch the Skyrim. Moreover, still in 2016, they also began a comedy podcast called Cool Games Inc. that lasted for 70 episodes. And then, in 2017, Nick was fired. So, every website that covered this controversy says that it kicked off when Twitter user @bloodyhoney replied to what I grant was a petulant Twitter post from Nick. Nick said something a bit rude about the Switch port of Overcooked, and Bloody Honey replied, "Maybe Nick would have time to help the Overcooked devs out if he wasn't in every woman in games DMs all the time." Who's that user, you might ask? Are they from the industry? No, doesn't seem so. Their Twitter profile is now defunct, and they didn't put their real names. So, was it hearsay? Was it something he heard in a podcast, or at a video game event gathering? Who's to say? For all I know, it could even be a fabrication. But nonetheless, that comment lashing out at Nick's tweet caused more people to come out implying that Nick was known by insiders to be a creep or a pushy guy. You had at least 2 people posting screenshots of their text exchanges with Nick. I've linked those in the description, by the way. They're definitely horny exchanges, but they don't seem unwanted since the women are playing along and they're over 18. So this hardly constitutes sexual misconduct. At most, you can accuse him of flirting with a fan. There's also this Twitter user who alleges a minor contacted her before contacting Vox. She doesn't say what Nick supposedly did to the minor, and she also posted a screenshot of the text message she sent Nick where she just verbally abuses him for allegedly emotionally manipulating her. Of course, she doesn't show evidence of said emotional manipulation, so once again, I'm left wondering if this is real or if this is fake. There used to be more screenshots, but many tweets have become unavailable. And the rest of the allegations we still have are even less convincing. There are second or third hand accounts of alleged creepiness or allegedly flirting with minors. And once again, we're given no way of verifying those sources. As all this was taking place, Chris Grant, Polygon's editor-in-chief, tweeted that the company had suspended Nick and was launching an inquiry into the allegations. While the inquiry was yet to be concluded, Nick was already being cancelled by every one of his friends in the industry. Griffin and Justin said, "I'm at a loss for words about the events of the last day. I'm shocked and angry and so deeply sad about it all." Following this, Griffin and Nick's latest series on YouTube was halted, and the Cool Games Inc. podcast was discontinued. Same thing with the Pod Burglars. Matt Kessler said he was done with the podcast. Ben Pack said he was not forgiving him yet or forgetting the allegations ever. Once again, all of this was tweeted the same day, mere hours after Chris Grant launched the inquiry. There was no official verdict and already Nick's purported friends were throwing him under the bus. 6 days later, Chris Grant announced that Polygon was parting ways with Nick effective immediately. And he didn't comment further on the allegations. That day, Nick posted a letter of apology. I'll give you a second to pause the video if you want to read it, and I've also linked it in the description. And since then, Nick has been working on his own YouTube channel, and doing a pretty good job of it. He did a few videos that went pretty viral.
So, what's my take on this controversy? Well, I think it's pretty obvious by the way I've been framing it. I just don't think the evidence is conclusive. At least, not what I've been shown. And by the way, I'm putting links in the description so you can check it out for yourself and, make your own opinion. But, I'm not sure he did nothing over the line. He may even have done something way over the line. And if he did, then great, he got his comeuppance, right? He got what he deserved. The issue is, people jumped the gun. People didn't wait for Polygon to finish their inquiry before cancelling Nick. People dogpiled on him right away, taking to Twitter and adding more fuel to the fire with their rumors or by virtue signaling about sexual harassment. His friends immediately washed their hands of the controversy by siding against him and cancelling their shows with him. It was a disgrace, and it gives me doubts about the inquiry itself. Plus, was Polygon really going to side with a man accused of sexual harassment? Because you gotta remember, Polygon was vehemently against Gamergate. By the way, if you don't know what Gamergate is, I recommend the website Know Your Meme. They have a pretty good timeline on it. And you can also search online, search on Polygon if you want, and search on YouTube. There's tons of videos about it on both sides of the issue. But to come back to my point, in 2014, as Gamergate was unfolding, Polygon accepted the premise of the anti-Gamergate feminists. They accepted the idea that gaming is a racist, misogynist cesspool that must be cleansed. And if you don't believe me that's their stance, just type in Gamergate in Polygon's search bar. It's pretty much what they believe. Or, let's just read from Polygon's Wikipedia article. I quote, Polygon hired Susanna Polo, founder of the Mary Sue, in 2015, which marked a transition in the site's scope to add pop culture and entertainment alongside their video game coverage. Games industry added that the hire marked a changing cultural sensibility in game and tech media towards the acceptance of progressive feminist principles in the wake of Gamergate. Don't you think Polygon's editorial stance on Gamergate might have weighed against Nick Robinson? And once again, maybe he did behave wrongfully. But that's not my point. My point is, when you assume someone is guilty before knowing all the information, before there is a due process, then you're taking the roles of judge, jury, and executioner, and you're giving them all to the Twitter mob. You are welcoming summary judgment. You are opening the door to wrongful accusations. You're creating cancel culture. Cancel culture is a term used to describe when a group of people uses social media to pressure a venue or a company into deplatforming a person they view as problematic. And indeed, because Nick was cancelled by his peers following outcry on Twitter, but before the end of the inquiry, I think this is a textbook example of cancel culture. The logic behind cancel culture is that the venue or a company would rather give in to the mob rather than protect the person being targeted because they're scared they will lose their reputation, because they're scared they will seem problematic if they don't comply. And likewise, the way Polygon handled the allegations against Nick allows for the possibility that he wasn't fired for anything he committed, but rather was thrown under the bus to appease the Twitter mob. Alright, I'll admit I got pretty political there at the end, but it's a subject close to my heart, that's why. Oh, and by the way, I would like to shout out the YouTube channel Sino is Away for making a video on this same topic. That's how I was inspired to give my opinion on the matter. And if you check in the comments of that video, you'll see other people's reaction too. Anyhow, I hope you appreciated getting my take on the controversy, and if you didn't, well, you can probably still appreciate episode 2, because in that one I'll be discussing the series Nick and Griffin created together, which is Carboys, Touchless Skyrim, and Cool Games Inc. That one will be all about appreciation and nostalgia. I hope you'll tune in. Don't forget to leave a like and post a comment if you want. And till next time!